Hello everyone, Dan James with DPJ Fabricating. Working with the 68-72 Chevrolet shifter, the horseshoe shifter, some call it the staple shifter. This is the first one that I worked with out of my own car. Several years ago I was able to come up with an idea to allow me to slap shift it from first to second, and he'll hit stop at second, then I can just slap it again from second to third. There's no need to squeeze the handle at all for either one of the upshifts. The one I have in the shifter right now, that's the TS3A, just stands for true slap, 3-speed. The A's for the 68-72 shifter. This is the TS4A here, that's for the overdrives, and the TS3R is a reverse pattern 3-speed. I have others also for this shifter. There's two for the power glides, forward and reverse pattern. I also have a 4-speed reverse pattern. I do not have any of those available at the moment. I just hand make those because they're pretty rare to sell, but these are laser cut, as you can see. This shifter is very popular and still a lot of them in use. I've found out I've sold over 450 detents just for this shifter alone, and out of all the ones put together, including some of those on the floor there, I've never had anybody ask for their money back yet that didn't order it for the wrong shifter, I should say. I've had two that ordered one and they didn't have the shifter they thought they had. But anyway, they're doing extremely well. I've had excellent customers and been great to work with. The few customers that have called with some issues, we've always been able to fix it with an adjustment or tighten the mounting bolts at the bottom of the shifter. Or these are not hard to do, so there's not too many things that can be wrong, and they're pretty easy to figure out if the things aren't working perfect. But on this one, this is a factory shifter. It's a it's a Chevrolet shifter. There are at least three different aftermarket companies that are making these. I have one in my car that is very, very close to this same shifter. It looks identical to it, and it pretty much works identical to it. There's another one, same way. I can't remember the name of either one of those two at the moment. Corvex, I believe, was one of them. Those are great. The one that OPGI sells, and probably some others do, is called Resto Parts. I had one of those for testing. They're built different. They look the same pretty much, but when you get to looking at the details, they're a little different. They have this mounting bolt back here is a little bit higher, the hole is, and I've changed my detent plates to where I've added a hole just for those shifters themselves. So with the instruction sheet that comes with them, it tells you what you need to do if you got to use the rear hole, the upper hole in the back. When you work with this shifter, you mount it. This front slot here, or excuse me, the front bolt will be in a slot in the shifter base, and of course it's threaded right into the plate. But you'll raise the plate, the detent plate, up in that bolt with the slot until the crossbar just barely clears the top of that ramp between first and second right there. You want it as high as you can get it, but still, obviously, you got to be able to get back to first gear. But the higher, the better, and that's all there is to adjusting that front bolt height. Get it set and tighten it down. Tighten both bolts, of course. And the next thing you would want to do is check your cable adjustment. I'm going to pull this off. We're in drive right here. This is a Turbo 350, or excuse me, Turbo 400 I've got it connected to. And if you have everything adjusted right, so you have adjustment here, of course you loosen the bottom bolt. You can adjust this here. There's also adjustment, if you need it, on the cable, the other end of the cable, there's a slot that pin is in. So the Chevrolets are adjustable on both ends, at least this year. This model of shifter is. Some of the others, all the others that I've worked with so far, do not have this adjustment at the shifter, but that's a good feature of this shifter, is you can adjust it here. You don't have to get under the car. But the only thing you want to do is put it in drive, and you should be able to take your cable on and off that easily. If you take the cable off and cable jumps forward, or it's trying to push the shifter back, it's not lined up right, you need to make adjustment here. If you're out of adjustment here, you can go to the other end. But you probably won't be, because I set them up as close as I could to be the same distances on all the positions, obviously, as the factory. So they come in really close. A lot of guys aren't having to make any adjustment at all. Some of them have to make a small adjustment there. But that's all you do there with it in drive. Doesn't matter if you're using an overdrive detent here, or you're using the 3-speed. Put it in drive. You could even use second gear. Should still do the same thing. Should slip on and off. But that's what I tell guys. Just use a drive or second gear for checking your cable adjustment. Once you get that done, it should slap just fine. I don't have any grease on this, and I always tell guys put some grease on it. It'll just make it feel a little bit smoother. You can see I've worked this one a little bit, but haven't put any grease on it. But I'll show you. All I do on slapping this shifter is I'll put my hand against it like this. When I'm in my car, of course, I'm bumping it forward or slapping it forward. I just call it a bump more often than not, because most of these shifters that I've worked with, that's all it takes. You don't have to beat on them real hard. And in fact, you don't want to beat on them. Some of them will break. I've never had anybody tell me they've had any problem with this one, though. But I just use the heel of my hand, bump it here. And there's third gear. Pull it back, squeeze, first gear. I get a little further away. Second, third. Second and third, you can push pull anytime. You're not gonna go past either one of them. You can see this is the second and third gear gate right here. You just gotta have enough speed, which isn't a lot, to hit that the upper stop right here with the crossbar. Now, if you have a crossbar, it's one issue that some have had. They've had a lot of wear on the bottom of their crossbar that made it obviously a little bit less tall than it should be. So you can take the roll pin out here or here, it doesn't matter which end, and you can take that slide bar out, crossbar out, flip it around end for end, and you have new surface to work with. And that'll help you with the less speed needed if it's worn pretty bad, to get less speed to hit the second gear stop there. But it doesn't take much. Second gear, third gear, and of course you squeeze to go forward. Now, one thing I missed on the OPGI shifter I was talking about, one customer actually took a measurement. He said his crossbar would not fit through the slot here underneath the second gear stop. And he took a measurement, because I make these a little over 0.4 inches, because this crossbar is 0.4 inches. In the aftermarket that I have, I believe it was Corvex, it's the same way. But the one he has from Resto Parts, he said it was 0.42 inches. So it's 20 thousandths higher. What he did, he took a little bit off the top, just about 20 thousandths, and that's all he had to do, and he was able to make it work. But that shifter that they have has some minor differences in it, but they're not hard to get around and make them work just as well as this one does. The other thing I want to talk about, another way you can shift this, instead of using the heel of your hand here and bumping it and pulling your hand back. But you can see I just pull my hand back. Some guys have told me that they have a habit of keeping their hand on it, and they push and they go right on the third. You will, because you're going too slow. It's designed to be slapped, and it won't hit the upper stop down there if it doesn't have just enough speed to do that. If you go too slow, or even if you do hit the stop and you're still pushing, like I did right there, I let it click down and then pushed it, you're going to go on into third. So I tell them, just bump it, get your hand away, that. Or the other one you can do is let your hand go off the top of it and just go on past it. You can either pull back like I do, or you can skip your hand over it, and you're not keeping your hand on it that way, obviously. second to third, like I said before, doesn't matter what speed, it's going to stop. Just the first to second. It takes just a few tries playing around with it, and you'll figure it out real fast how you need to shift. Just let your hand skip off the top of it was probably the easiest. That's all I have on this shifter. If there's any questions on it, please call me, and we can always work it out. As far as where the issue is, the more information I can get from you, the better I can help you solve a problem if there is one. And these shifters on the floor, that's a 700R4 case that I use. You can see I have a 68 to 82 Corvette shifter here in the middle that I just started working with, or just got recently. I haven't had time to work with it yet, but I'm going to make the same type of detent plates for it. I've had some requests for that one. Same way with the 73 to 77 Cutlass shifter there in the back. I've had some requests for that one. Haven't worked on either one of those just yet. The 64 to 67 Chevelle, I have those detent plates. I have 3 of them, the same 3 I've shown here on the table for the 68 to 72 shifter. A reverse pattern 3-speed, a forward pattern 3-speed, and the forward pattern 4-speed. And I could do a reverse pattern 4-speed for that too, but don't know if I'll ever get a request for that one. If I do, I can make it. I have the 67 to 72 Olds Cutlass and 442s, any of the A bodies, and I have that's an overdrive detent plate that's in that one right now, so I can convert those same as I did the horseshoe shifter up here on the table, and those have been selling pretty well. The 64 to 67 Chevelle is the latest one I have, so those are just not being there's not a lot of word out on those yet because I haven't pushed them real hard. I'm still don't have the DXF file completed for that to laser cut them yet. The 70 to 72 Buick shifter here that we're looking at, I have the detent plates for that. That was the second one I made, the second shifter I worked with after the horseshoe shifter for the Chevrolets. I went to the Buick, and I've sold around 100 of those, and they're doing really well. This one, the 93 to 02 Camaro, I made, these are all overdrives as far as I know, and I can convert it to also slap shift, just like the one on the table does here. I just put a stop at second gear, and they works really slick. That's a good shifter as far as the later model, but they're not later anymore, but later than all these others. But it works really nice. All these work really slick, and that's about all I can say about those. I have a couple other shifters I've worked with a little bit, but the 68 Pontiac Firebird, I've made a detent plate for it, but it's designed completely different. Is the way the pawl comes up from the bottom instead of being supported from the side, and with the stop that I have to put in here for second gear, it's just in the way of being able to function the way it needs to. So I can put a second gear stop in there, but it won't let you drop down past it or go up past it, depending on which way the detent works, to be able to slap it for first to second, and then also again from second to third like I do these others. I like them to where you don't have to squeeze the trigger at all, but with that one you have to squeeze it just a little bit. It's in one of my other videos, and you can see the card here in my contact information on the back of it. Go to YouTube. Well, that's not on this one, it's on my newer ones, but you can go on YouTube and look for True Slap Detent Plate or DPJ Fabricating, and you can find all my videos that way. And anybody has any questions, please call or text or email. And I think that's all I have. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it.